The dust never settled in the warlands. Smoke from fallen warships twisted with ash above cracked red ground. Human forces were scattered, hunted, broken. Only Commander Rourke remained behind enemy lines, breathing heavy, chained, bruised, but still alive. He never expected to survive the ambush, and he never expected to see her again. She walked through the smoke like a ghost from his past. Her skin still shimmered with that faint blue glow, marked by the golden runes of her people. Her armor had changed, sharper, darker, filled with authority, but her eyes still held that fire he remembered from a world far away. A world before all this death. The crowd behind her parted as she stepped closer. Her name echoed in his mind, though no one dared say it aloud. Valari, general of the enemy forces, the one who had once saved him from death, the one who had once kissed him under alien stars. He expected a speech, a public order of execution. Instead, she knelt before him. The crowd murmured, shifting like wind. Valari said nothing at first. Her hand reached out, trembling slightly, and brushed away the blood on his cheek. He looked up, defiant, expecting betrayal. But her touch was gentle, almost mournful. "You came here to die?" she asked in a voice only he could hear. "I came to end it," he answered. A bitter smile played across her lips. "And if I told you this war ends tonight, but not in the way you hope?" He didn't speak. He watched her eyes search his as if she still wanted to believe in something. Maybe in him. Maybe in a different path. She leaned in, and before he could stop her, her lips met his. It wasn't a kiss of love or passion. It was fire and warning, heat and farewell, and when she pulled back, her voice was softer than wind. "Forgive me for what I'll do after." Rourke didn't understand until her guard stepped forward. She stood up, face cold again. She looked at the gathered soldiers and shouted, "The human has proven his strength. He is no longer a prisoner.
He is now."
My chosen, gasps filled the air. Chains dropped from his wrists. But the weight of her words pressed harder than any iron. Her chosen? What did that mean? And why did her eyes seem filled with regret? Valari turned to walk away, motioning for him to follow. He did, confused, limping, his body screaming but his mind racing faster. Every step took him deeper into her camp, past her warriors, past ancient statues and war drums. She said nothing more. Not yet. Inside her command tent, lit with flickering blue flames, she finally spoke again. "My people are planning something worse than war. They call it purification. They believe humans must be erased completely, not just defeated." Rourke clenched his fists. "So why bring me here? Why spare me?" "Because I still remember what we were, what you meant, what we could have been." He wanted to believe her. But there was something else in her voice. A deep fear, a secret. "And now?" he asked. Her eyes fell. "Now I'm bound by duty but torn by memory." Outside, war horns blared. A new battle was beginning. But Rourke didn't know which side he was on anymore. And he wasn't sure if Valari did either. She handed him a blade, old and marked with runes. "You'll need this," she whispered. "For what?" Her silence was louder than her words. And in that silence, Rourke knew this war wasn't about armies or territory anymore. It was about them. Rourke sat quietly inside Valari's command tent as the blue flames danced on the walls. The weapon she had given him rested on his lap. It was old, heavier than he expected, and covered in runes that pulsed with dim light. He didn't recognize the language, but it felt ancient, like it belonged to a time before both their species ever met. Valari paced near the back of the tent, armor clinking softly. Her face was calm, but her steps betrayed something deeper. Doubt, fear, maybe guilt. Rourke didn't know what she was planning, but she didn't kiss him like an enemy. And she didn't save him just to use him as a pawn. "What happens now?" he asked. She stopped and turned. "The council thinks you're my trophy. They believe I'm parading you to show dominance before the final push. I let them believe it." He narrowed his eyes. "And what's the truth?" Valari didn't answer right away. She looked away, voice low. "The truth is, you're the only one who's ever seen me outside this war. The only one who ever touched me without fear or command. That was years ago. But I remember." She walked to him and sat down. "I remember the stars above that outpost. I remember how you made me laugh when I wasn't supposed to." Rourke looked at her closely. She was stronger now, hardened, a warrior to her people. But beneath it all, he saw the same girl who once asked him if humans really dreamed. She leaned closer. "I don't want what's coming. My people plan to use the Skyfire protocol, His heart dropped. That's a death beam. A purification weapon, she said bitterly. It will burn every trace of human life in the eastern sectors. I tried to stop it, but I was overruled. The council thinks mercy is weakness. Rourke's grip tightened on the blade. Then why save me? Because I need you to stop it. He stared at her, stunned. You want me to stop your own people? I want you to survive. I want there to be something left after this madness. And maybe, she hesitated, maybe I want to see if there's still something between us that matters more than war. A loud boom echoed outside. Soldiers shouted. The tent flap burst open as one of Valari's lieutenants rushed in. My general, the soldier said, bowing slightly. A human escapee has been spotted in Sector 9. He carries stolen codes. Valari stood. Send scouts. Don't engage unless necessary. The lieutenant paused. He wears a human commander's insignia. Rourke stood too. That's probably Jarrus. He's one of mine. He must have survived the drop. Valari didn't look surprised. Then he's headed to the old comm tower. He's trying to send a warning to Earth, Rourke said, or call for reinforcements. They both knew what that meant. If Jarrus succeeded, the war would grow. More ships. More death. I have to go, Rourke said. Valari stepped in front of him. If you leave now, the council will label you a spy. You'll be hunted. I already was, he replied calmly. Before you pulled me out of the dirt, she didn't move. If they kill you out there, I can't protect you. He looked into her eyes. Then come with me. For a moment, the idea seemed to catch her off guard. But then her jaw tightened. I can't, not yet, Rourke nodded. He understood more than he wanted to. She was trapped, just like him, in a war they didn't start, a war neither of them wanted anymore. He stepped into the light of the camp, weapon in hand, cloak over his shoulders, eyes scanning the horizon. Whatever was coming, it wasn't just battle, it was choice, and the price of that choice would change everything. Rourke moved like a shadow through the alien camp. Most of the guards didn't recognize him without his chains. Those who did quickly looked away, too afraid to question the generals chosen. He used that fear to slip past the outer line. He was alone again, just like before. But this time something had changed inside him. He wasn't only fighting for his side now. He was trying to stop both sides from destroying everything. The desert outside the camp stretched far and hot. Burned machines and shattered bones dotted the sand like forgotten stories. Rourke's boots crunched over dried ground as he headed toward the canyon, where the old comm tower used to stand. He hoped Jarrus had made it, that someone else still believed in stopping the madness. After an hour of climbing ridges and crossing broken terrain, he found the place. The tower was still standing, though barely. Half of it was collapsed and the other half flickered with dying energy. Just beneath it, hidden under some broken metal plates, Rourke saw movement. Jarrah, he called softly. A figure turned sharply, gun aimed, eyes wide with suspicion. Rourke! The voice cracked. Rourke raised his hands. It's me. I'm not here to fight. Jarrus stepped out slowly, thinner than Rourke remembered. His armor was dented and half melted. Blood was dry on his shoulder. They said you were dead. I was close, Rourke replied. But someone pulled me out, Jarrus squinted. You're walking free. In their land? How? Rourke didn't answer. He just looked back at the horizon, toward the enemy camp. Long story. You shouldn't be here, Jarrus said. We have to warn the fleet. They're planning a cleansing strike. I know, Rourke said. She told me, Jarrus froze. She? You mean? He didn't say the name. She's trying to help. Jarrus shook his head. She's one of them, Rourke. You forgot what they did to us? No, I remember everything. Rourke's voice was firm. But I also remember that she risked her life to stop this. She gave me this. He showed the blade. Jarrus looked at it, eyes narrowing. Ancient steel. That's ceremonial. You're not just alive, you're marked. She's torn, Rourke said. Just like we are. Jarrus walked over to the broken transmitter and pulled out a cracked datapad. I've been trying to send a burst message to Earth Command. If they get it, reinforcements will land in 4 days. No, Rourke said. You can't do that. What do you mean, no? Jarrus stepped forward. They'll wipe us out if we don't respond. If we send that call, Earth won't send peace. They'll send fire, more troops, more weapons. Skyfire will burn everything. Jarrus stared at him like he didn't recognize him. What happened to you? I saw the other side. I saw her. She's not who they say she is. She's trying to stop the madness, but she can't do it alone. Silence settled over them as the wind blew dust between their feet. "You trust her?" Jarrus finally said. "I do. That's going to get us both killed." "Maybe," Rourke said, "but it might also be the only way to stop the end." Jarrus looked at the transmitter, then at the sky. "I don't know if I can stop it." Rourke stepped forward. "Then help me redirect it. Change the signal. Don't call for war. Call for a ceasefire." One last chance. Jarrus didn't answer. He just stared at the blade, the glowing runes pulsing gently. After a long moment, he nodded. "You've got one shot." Rourke took the pad, looked up at the stars, and prayed someone out there was still listening. The signal was short. Just a single burst, barely a whisper across space. Rourke didn't know if Earth Command would hear it or if they'd ignore it. He asked for ceasefire, not war. He signed it with his own command code and ended it with a warning. "Skyfire is real. Do not respond with force." Once it was sent, Jarrus disabled the tower. He smashed the uplink panel and dropped a thermal charge on the core. The blast was small but final. No more messages would come from here. "Now what?" Jarrus asked, brushing dust off his gloves. "Now we pray someone listens," Rourke said, "and we move before someone finds us." They left the canyon behind and made their way into the old ruins near the salt cliffs. The buildings were broken, ancient stone buried in red sand. This place used to be a trade post before the war. Now it was home to silence and shadows. They found cover inside a collapsed dome. Rourke sat down against a wall, sweat dripping from his brow. His shoulder burned from the earlier climb. Jarrus checked his own wounds and sighed. "We can't stay here long," he said. "I know." Rourke nodded. "But I need answers before I go back." Jarrus raised a brow. "Back? You're going back to them?" "I have to. Valari needs to know what I did. She's risking everything. If the council finds out she helped me, she'll be executed." Jarrus didn't respond. He stared at the floor, fists clenched. "She's the enemy, Rourke. She's more than that. She's trying to save both sides. I don't trust her. I don't expect you to. But I do." Jarrus looked up sharply. "You still feel something for her?" Rourke paused. The silence stretched. "I don't know what I feel anymore. But when she kissed me, I knew it wasn't a trick. And when she whispered those words, 'Forgive me for what I'll do after,' I felt fear in her voice. She's planning something, Jarrus, and she's afraid of it." Jarrus stood up and walked to the open edge of the dome. He looked out over the empty land. "You think she'll stop Skyfire?" "I think she'll try. But if she fails, we all die." Before Jarrus could answer, movement caught Rourke's eye, a soft shimmer in the dust. He grabbed his blade. "Someone's here." Jarrus spun, rifle up. The wind shifted and 3 cloaked figures stepped into view. Tall, blue-skinned, wearing light armor. Their faces were hidden behind masks, but their weapons were drawn. One stepped forward. "General Valari requests your return." Rourke narrowed his eyes. "How did she know where I was?" "She always knows," the soldier replied. Jarrus raised his rifle higher. "I don't trust them. They're her personal guard," Rourke said. "They wouldn't lie." The lead alien looked at Jarrus. "You're not part of the invitation. Return to your people or be escorted with force." Rourke looked at Jarrus. "Go. Find shelter. If the signal works, you'll need to stay alive." Jarrus hesitated. "I don't like this." "Neither do I." They shared one last look, then Jarrus backed away into the shadows, disappearing down the rocks. Rourke stepped forward and nodded. "Take me to her." The guards turned without a word and began moving through the dunes. Rourke followed, the ancient blade in hand, the weight of his decision pressing heavier with every step. In the distance, thunder cracked, not from the sky, but from warships waking in the clouds. Time was running out, and whatever Valari had planned, it had already begun. The guards led Rourke through the night, their silent footsteps gliding across sand and stone. No one spoke. The sky above was dark, filled with faint stars and low clouds lit by the glow of war machines in the distance. Rourke didn't know what Valari had told them. He only knew that something heavy hung in the air, like tension before a storm. They reached a small outpost hidden in a narrow canyon. It wasn't part of the main army. This place felt older, quieter. The walls were carved with ancient symbols glowing slightly as they passed. Rourke recognized some of them from the blade she gave him. He didn't understand the meaning, but they pulsed faintly the moment he stepped near. Inside the largest chamber, Valari stood alone. Her armor was gone, replaced by a long dark robe with gold trim. Her hair was loose around her shoulders. The look on her face was not that of a warrior, but of someone who hadn't slept in days. "I didn't think you'd come back," she said softly. "I had to. The signal is sent. I warned them." Valari nodded. "Then we don't have much time." Rourke stepped closer. "What are you planning, Valari?" She turned away, voice quiet. "I've made a choice. The Council approved Skyfire activation. It will launch at sunrise. Once it's started, I can't stop it through words alone. Then stop it another way." She looked at him, eyes filled with pain. "To stop it, I must betray everything. My rank, my bloodline, even my oath to the war itself." "Then do it," Rourke said. "There's nothing left to protect if the world burns." Valari reached to a panel behind her and pulled out a small orb. It pulsed with blue light. "This is the key to the Skyfire core, one of 3. I stole it 2 nights ago. The others are still held inside the vault tower. But the vault is guarded. I can't reach it alone." "You're not alone," Rourke said. She looked at him with surprise. "You'll help me break into my own military base?" "I'm not helping your people or mine," he said. "I'm helping you. And maybe helping something greater than both of us." For a long moment, Valari just stared. Then she walked forward and placed the orb in his hand. It was warm. "If we do this," she whispered, "there's no way back." There never was. They left the chamber quickly. The guards were confused when Valari didn't give new orders. But she told them she and the human would travel alone. They obeyed, though Rourke saw the doubt in their eyes. He didn't care. By the time they reached the edge of the canyon, the stars had begun to fade. The light of early morning touched the far horizon. In just a few hours, the weapon would fire. They climbed into a hidden transport, a small hovercraft covered in old cloth, and sped through narrow cliffs, avoiding patrols. Valari steered while Rourke kept watch with the ancient blade ready at his side. "I've studied the vault maps," Valari said. "There's a tunnel beneath the archive chamber. Most don't know it still exists. Will it get us inside?" "Yes, but we'll need to be quick. The 2nd and 3rd keys are inside the reactor vault. Once we have them, I can override the launch signal. And if we fail?" Valari didn't answer. Rourke looked at her as wind whipped around them. "You once said we could never be together." "I said it because it was true then, and now?" She didn't look at him. "Now I don't know what's true anymore. I just know I'm tired of war." The tower appeared in the distance, tall, silver, glowing with internal light, the place where peace might be saved or lost forever. The vault tower rose like a spear from the cracked earth. It was silent, glowing softly in the early morning haze. 3 rings of alien guards moved in rotating shifts around its base. Tall silver doors stood shut at the front, but Valari didn't even glance that way. She led Rourke around the ridge to a patch of uneven stone near the cliff wall. "Here," she whispered, kneeling and brushing away the dust. Beneath the layer of sand was a panel. She pressed her palm to it. A soft light scanned her hand, then clicked. A hidden hatch opened with a hiss. "This tunnel was sealed after the old war," she said, "but it still works for those who carry command blood." Rourke followed her down the narrow shaft. The air was thick and musty. They descended by ladder, then walked through a curved hallway lit by dim blue lights. Everything was quiet except for the hum of energy deep below. "I never thought I'd be sneaking into my own people's vault," Valari said as they reached a security door. Rourke nodded. "There's a first time for everything," she smiled faintly. "You still make terrible jokes." The door opened into a narrow maintenance hall. Ahead, 2 guards stood lazily near a control panel. Valari paused and lowered her voice. "They don't expect anyone from this path. We'll move fast." Rourke stepped forward. "Let me." He approached calmly, eyes forward. The guards didn't react until he was close. "Who are you?" Too late. Rourke struck the first one in the throat with the hilt of his blade. The second reached for his weapon, but Valari fired a pulse round that knocked him unconscious. Rourke looked back. "You always did have good aim." "I don't miss," she said softly, already moving again. They reached the reactor vault. The thick door stood sealed with a triple lock system. "The other 2 keys are in separate chambers," Valari explained. "I'll take the right wing. You take the left. Won't they recognize me? They won't have time to report it if you move quickly." Valari placed the first key orb into a socket on the wall. A soft hum echoed as the system began recognizing her override. She gave Rourke a nod and split off. Rourke moved through dim corridors, passing glowing data walls and humming power cables. 2 soldiers stepped into view ahead. He ducked behind a pillar, waited for their steps to pass, then grabbed one from behind, covering his mouth until he passed out. The second fell after a swift strike with the blade's flat side. He found the key chamber and stepped inside. It was a small room with a glowing pedestal at its center. A crystal orb floated just above it. As Rourke reached for it, a sharp alarm blared. He grabbed the orb quickly, but heavy steps echoed behind him. A tall alien officer stood at the door, weapon drawn. Human? The guard hissed in disbelief. How did you? Rourke didn't answer. He rushed forward, sliding low. The blast fired above his head. He kicked the officer's leg and slammed him into the wall, knocking him cold. He raced back through the corridor. Red lights now flashed along the walls. The entire tower knew something was wrong. Valari was already waiting by the vault when he returned. Her lip was bleeding, but she held the second orb tightly. You got it? Rourke handed her the third. She placed all three into the control panel. The locks glowed. A soft tone signaled success. We have override access, she said, breathless, then shut it down. She hesitated. Once I do this, the council will know I betrayed them. Rourke placed a hand on her shoulder. They already know. But you're not alone, Valari looked at him. Her eyes shimmered. Then she turned to the panel, took a breath, and began the sequence. Time was running out. But maybe, just maybe, peace had a chance. The vault chamber glowed brighter as the override sequence activated. Valari's hands moved quickly across the symbols, typing in ancient codes that only someone of her rank could access. Each line confirmed her betrayal in the system. Each step locked her future away from the council. Rourke stood beside her, holding the blade ready. The alarms continued to ring through the tower. Footsteps pounded in the distance. They didn't have much time. Valari placed the final code. A deep rumble echoed beneath their feet. Skyfire systems offline, the machine voice said in her language. Rourke let out a breath. You did it. Valari didn't smile. She just stared at the panel, quiet. That won't stop them for long. They'll realize what I've done. They'll reboot it with backup commands unless what? He asked. Unless we destroy the control node. She opened a panel beneath the wall. Inside, a glowing crystal core pulsed with light. It was connected by thick wires and cables humming with power. If we destroy this, she said, Skyfire won't work again. Ever. Then let's do it. Valari hesitated. It's not that easy. The crystal is alive. It's linked to my bloodline. If anyone else destroys it, the system triggers a chain reaction strike. On every major human outpost, Rourke stepped back. So it has to be you. Yes. But that would kill you. Valari nodded. Rourke shook his head. No, there has to be another way. She looked at him. This was always the way. That's why I said what I said before the battle. That kiss, that whisper. I knew what I would have to do if the council pushed forward. He stepped toward her. You saved me. You brought me here. Let me find another way. There isn't one, she said gently. But there is something else. She reached into her robe and pulled out a small vial. My blood. My command signature. You can use it on the blade. It will mark you, just for a moment, as one of my line. Rourke stared at the vial. If you strike the core with the blade while marked, she said, you can destroy it. No chain reaction. No deaths. He took it slowly. Why didn't you tell me this before? Because I didn't want to hope. And because this will make you hunted. You'll carry the traitor's blood. I already carry your trust. That's enough. Valari stepped back as he opened the vial. He poured a single drop onto the blade. The runes lit up, glowing brighter than ever. The metal pulsed like it was alive. Rourke raised the weapon and drove it into the crystal. Light exploded across the room. The walls shook. The sound was deafening. And then silence. The alarm stopped. The lights faded. The control panel turned dark. Valari checked the readings. Her voice trembled. It's done. Skyfire is gone. They both stood there stunned. The weapon that could have ended worlds was no more. Then the chamber doors burst open. A dozen guards stormed in, weapons raised. Behind them walked an older alien with pale markings and sharp eyes. Valari, the elder said coldly. What have you done? Rourke stepped in front of her, blade still glowing. She saved lives. She betrayed her people, the elder snapped, and sided with a human. Valari moved beside Rourke. No, I chose peace. I chose to live for something more than orders and death. You'll both be taken, the elder said. You will answer for this. Rourke held the blade tighter. Then you'll have to take us. The tension cracked like lightning. Every weapon in the room pointed toward them. But neither Rourke nor Valari stepped back. Not now. Not after what they had stopped. No one moved. Rourke stood at the center of the vault, blade still glowing with Valari's blood. Behind him, Valari raised her chin high, her robe brushing the ground like a shadow of command. The elder in front of them, tall, cold, his face covered in pale tribal paint, glared with quiet rage. "You carry her blood," the elder said to Rourke. "That does not make you one of us." "I don't need to be," Rourke replied. "I just need to stop the killing." "You've already failed," the elder hissed. "The council knows what's happened. They are calling the fleet. This act, this betrayal, will ignite a final strike." Valari stepped forward. "Then let them come. Let the galaxy see the truth. I'll face the judgment, but not before I speak to the high table myself. You have no voice there anymore." "I have this," she said, raising her forearm. Embedded in her skin was a glowing sigil, a legacy mark ancient and sacred. It pulsed now, responding to her will. The elder's face changed slightly. Shock, then fury. "You invoked blood, right?" "I did," she said. "Trial by legacy. I demand audience." The guards hesitated. Even the elder took a step back. "By law," Valari said, "no one may touch me or the one bound to my cause, not until the council sees me." "You'll be dead before that happens," the elder said. "Then make it happen," she answered, "or be the one who breaks your own sacred code." For a moment no one dared speak. Then slowly the guards lowered their weapons. Valari looked at Rourke. "We don't have much time. We need to leave before they change their minds." They walked past the guards without another word. Eyes followed them, some with confusion, some with respect, some with fear. Outside, the early sun had risen. The land shimmered with light and heat. Warships moved slowly across the sky like predators circling their prey. Valari looked up at them with a grim expression. "They'll track us soon," she said. "But there's a place we can go. A sacred site. The high table will meet there if I call them. You trust them?" "I trust the code," she said. "And I trust you." They moved fast through back trails and tunnels. Valari rode a stealth bike that responded only to her command mark. Rourke sat behind her, blade across his back, cloak flapping in the wind. The silence between them was not cold. It was steady, strong, built on understanding. After 2 hours, they reached the top of an ancient plateau. Strange stone formations stood in a circle, humming softly. The air felt different here, heavier, charged with energy. Valari stepped into the center and activated her sigil. Blue waves pulsed out across the rocks. Then the sky answered. Beams of light shimmered in the air, and slowly 6 figures appeared. Holograms, elders of different clans, old and powerful. Their faces were unreadable. "Valari," one of them said. "You invoke blood, right?" "I do," she said. "And I come with proof that this war must end." The figures glanced at Rourke. "A human?" "A witness," she said. "And the one who destroyed Skyfire," the council murmured among themselves. "You bring a war criminal into our sacred circle," one elder said. "I bring the only one who didn't run from peace," she answered another voice, deeper, calmer. "Speak, General. What do you ask?" Valari looked at them all. "I ask for judgment. I ask for a halt to the purge. I ask to tell the truth of what this war has become. And if we refuse," asked the coldest one. She looked at Rourke. "Then you'll lose more than Skyfire." The council stood in a ring of flickering light, silent and unreadable. Their holograms shimmered under the morning sun as Valari waited for their answer. Rourke stood beside her, the ancient blade strapped across his back, his body ready for anything. But in this moment, it wasn't weapons that would decide their fate. It was words. "Speak your truth," the central elder said at last, his voice carrying weight and warning. Valari stepped forward. "Skyfire was built to protect us, but it became a tool for fear. The council chose to use it against civilians, children, farmers, entire colonies, not enemies, survivors. They are human," another elder snapped. "They invaded. They spread like a plague. They defended their home," Valari said, "just like we did." One of the elders leaned forward. "You fell for him. That's what this is." "I did," she said calmly. "But this is not about him. This is about what I saw when I stood among them, what I heard from their wounded, what I saw in their dead. I saw people, not monsters." Rourke spoke for the first time. "I was a soldier. I've lost everything, friends, commanders, cities. I was ready to die fighting your people, until she saved me. Until she showed me you were not all the same. You expect us to believe one man and one traitor can stop this war? Asked an elder. No, Valari said. But we can give you a choice. Continue down this path, and your cities will burn with ours. Or step back and we begin again. There was silence again. Then one of the elders said, even if we agree to listen, many of the war fleets are beyond our reach. Some follow other warlords now. Valari nodded. Then I'll go to them. You will not return, another warned. I know. They spoke among themselves, their voices too quiet to hear. Finally, the central elder looked at her. You are stripped of your rank. You will be marked in exile. Valari bowed her head. Then I go gladly. They turned to Rourke. And you, human? What will you do? I'll walk with her, he said, until the war ends. The lights faded and the elders vanished, leaving behind silence. Valari slowly sank to her knees. Her breath shook. Rourke placed a hand on her shoulder. You did it, he said. No, she whispered. I just started it. Above them, the sky rumbled. A fleet of dark ships moved slowly in the distance, warlords who answered to no counsel, only to fire and blood. They were coming. Rourke looked up. Then we stopped them next. Valari stood again, tired but determined. There's one way. What is it? A message, she said. Not just from me, from us. That night in the heart of the plateau, they activated the ancient beacon. Its signal stretched across the stars, not as a threat, but as a call. She spoke first. To those who fight because they were told to, listen. The war is changing. Not because of weapons, but because of truth. Then Rourke spoke. We fought long enough. It's time to stop dying for pride. Time to see each other as more than flags and skin. Together their voices carried into the stars, and on distant ships, in quiet camps, in shattered outposts. Warriors paused. Commanders hesitated. Civilians wept. The tide was turning, but the darkest night still lay ahead. The beacon's message echoed across planets and warships for 3 days. Some ignored it. Others mocked it. But many listened. In silent corners of the galaxy, tired soldiers laid down their weapons. Not all. Not enough to stop the war fully, but enough to slow its fury. And that gave Valari and Rourke time. They became ghosts in the outer zones, traveling from ruined colony to burning city, reaching commanders who still held power. Some welcomed them. Others attacked on sight. But even among enemies, the name Valari began to carry a new meaning. Not traitor, peacemaker. They built a new circle, not of politics, not of war, but of leaders who had lost too much. Alien and human, side by side, meeting in caves and broken halls far from eyes of warlords and generals. It was fragile. It was not peace yet, but it was something. One night near the remains of a shattered moon base, Rourke sat beside a fire made from broken drone cores. Valari sat across from him, sharpening the old blade with calm hands. She wore no armor now, just travel robes and a new mark on her wrist. Not the symbol of a general, but a sigil of her own making. She handed him the blade. Still sharp, he took it and smiled. It always is. For a while they said nothing. The wind outside howled through hollow corridors of dead machines. Finally, Valari broke the silence. I still think about that day. The kiss? He asked. She nodded. And the whisper. He looked at her. You said, forgive me for what I'll do after. I thought I would have to destroy everything, she said. I thought that was the only way to stop the war. Rourke nodded. And now? Now I see. Maybe building something new is harder, but worth more. They stood together, walking to the edge of the crater where the stars blinked quietly above. Valari reached into her satchel and pulled out a small device. What is it? He asked. A new beacon. Smaller. Stronger. This one doesn't just speak to commanders. It speaks to civilians. To students, workers, children. Another message? She nodded. This time not from a general. From a survivor. Rourke looked at her with soft eyes. From both of us, she smiled. He placed his hand over hers. Then let's speak. They pressed the signal, and across systems a new message lit the void. We were enemies once. Now we walk together, not as conquerors, not as leaders. Just as two voices who chose to stop hating. You don't have to fight to be brave. You don't have to kill to protect what you love. There is another way, and it starts with listening. For the first time in years, no warning sirens followed. No missiles flew, no fleets moved, just silence and a beginning. Valari turned to Rourke. What do we do now? He looked at the stars. We go where the war hasn't reached yet. We help rebuild. And if they try to burn it down again, we fight back? No, he said. We remind them of what we've already done, what we've already saved. She nodded slowly. Then quietly she touched her lips to his. This kiss was different. No fire, no warning, only warmth, and no whispers followed. Because this time, there was nothing left to fear.